I also want to talk about the great fake war that exists. The biggest load of fake news you will ever hear is a fake news war between the Labor Party and the Greens. Now, they have this ridiculous little dance that at every single election, you always get the Greens giving preferences to Labor and Labor win their seats in Parliament off Greens' preferences. But then for the other 2 and a bit years, Labor tries to pretend nothing to do with the Greens. The Greens are terrible. Don't vote for the Greens. They're awful people. We saw that yesterday with Joel Fitzgibbon, whose memo leaked to the newspaper and then he came onto television. We see again today Terri Butler, who's as lefty as they get, actually trying to say this without laughing.
And this is a party that teamed up with the Liberals to completely cruel climate action, to ruin the best chance of a lasting climate settlement that we had and to set climate action back a decade. That's what the Greens party is. They're a mob of people who are bad for jobs and bad for the environment.
OK, but at the last election, guess what Terri Butler did? Terri Butler, when given a choice of who should go second on her how to vote card, this was her how to vote card. She said, if you're not going to vote Labor, well, you should vote for the Greens. Then it's the LNP third. And why would that be the case? Despite the fact that she says the Greens are terrible, job-destroying, bad for the environment. It would be because if you actually look at what happened at the election last year, she didn't get 50% of the vote. She didn't get 40% of the vote. She didn't even get 31% of the vote. Instead, she got 30% of the vote. Guess where the rest of her vote came from that made her a member of Parliament? Oh, that's right, the party that now she's pretending to shit can. Put simply, the 23% that are the Greens were added to Labor. That's what gets her over the top, and that's how she ended up winning her seat in Parliament. The greatest load of fake news, BS, that you will hear every day is anyone in the Labor Party trying to tip it onto the Greens. Because without the Greens, they don't exist in Parliament. Put simply, my belief is that both the Liberal Party and the Labor Party should preference each other before the Greens to keep the Greens out of Parliament. That's the way that it should work, because they are the political equivalent of that Sheila that you just saw speaking in Washington, D.C. They are the equivalent of the AOC and Squad Brigade in the United States. They are the equivalent of the mayors who want to say that the idiots setting up the city within the city, the protest CHOP, Chaz, where people were dying, is, of course, a summer of love.